This might be my last broadcast here on YouTube, well, at least for a while. We're done dealing with the algorithm the way it is. I'm going to be just upfront right out here in the open and tell you what's going on. We're going to expose you to what Gary Franchi's doing. We're probably going to do something very similar. Not probably, we are going to do something very similar to Next News Network. And I would call on all people who are conservative and Christian and people who want government to be responsible, not have data centers gulp up millions of gallons of water in drought-ridden areas, noise it's incessant. We don't want people that think it's okay for government officials to live off the land and be corrupt. See, this is what this channel stands for. We are God, family, country supporting in that order. And I make no apologies for that whatsoever. Yet those beliefs that I just highlighted put me on the negative side of the algorithm here that's keeping me from reaching you. I want to show you an opportunity though, because we have a sponsor for this, and tomorrow, in all likelihood, is going to be our last broadcast. Yes, we're going to be on Rumble. Yes, we're going to be on X. Yes, we're going to be on our TV show and on our website. And most importantly, we're going to be where? Um, on our podcast and radio network. And wait till I show you those ratings. And it's not the nonsense we're dealing with here. And I'm going to put this out too on our podcast, so forth. You're hearing this though. Uh, just because we're going to leave one. And by the way, too, Scotty Sachs and I are working to put together a Spaces show on X. And some of our friends are doing really, really well. And you don't have to worry about some algorithm interfering with you. And that's a fact. I want to take you here to our sponsor because I don't know how much longer on this venue I'm going to be telling you about these great people here. But the opportunity that I'm going to bring to you here is really kind of a once in a lifetime deal. And you've heard me talk about the good people at Ironhawk Financial. And I just have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that we are in the we want to help you business and we're going to advertise for them all day long. Here, let me bring this up here, and we'll do a little share screen here. And for the audio listeners here, I'll describe what you're seeing. Um, I got contacted by an agent said, you should have this guy on named Joe Lombardi. This guy is doing amazing things for people financially. Dave, he's right up your alley. He's a crusader for helping people. And that he is. Never has he had a Better Business Bureau complaint. Never has he lost a dime of client money. This man personifies integrity. And I've gotten to be friends with the COO of the company as well, Marianne McAdory. Who, by the way, is getting married this weekend. Congratulations, Marianne. And she's been a guest on our show. In fact, we're going to probably try to do something next week because there's something we want to tell you about that they're doing. It's exciting. But I wanted to bring this to your attention because if you're in this venue, you may not see me here much longer. And what we're looking at right here, okay, is the Ironhawk Financial page. And let me bring this down here where you can see the URL there to get to this is dhawk.com. And what your annuities, business insurance, protection against losses, liability, insurance shields, covers assets, legal costs, and then life insurance. The number one and number four on this list can make you an unbelievable amount of money. It's the way that the rich got filthy rich and they didn't pay tax, and it's completely legal. IRS code 7702 covers that. Joe and I've done a couple of shows on that. In fact, I'm having Joe back on Monday. But you may not see it here. We're in some decision-making processes here right now. And what I want to show you here is this process they put people through, which is lengthy. It's 6 weeks to 6 months, average time 2 to 3 months, because they have to dot all the I's, cross all the T's, federal regulations. And You are being protected in this process, but you'll come out the other side just unbelievable. But look, I often say this process they put you through is recession proof. The economy is going to you know where in a handbasket. But look at who's involved in this just with the insurance end of it. Anthem, Cigna, Guardian, Mass Mutual, and Mutual of Omaha. These are sacred cows. They're not going under. The government's going to make sure they don't go under. And then the banks that they're affiliated with, same thing. They're not going under. We might go under. They're not. And you're going into their realm, and this is how you're going to be wildly successful. Now, not all of you will qualify to get into this. But Marianne is working on something to help people that don't qualify. We're not quite there yet. We're going to be talking about it, I imagine, in a couple of weeks. But she wants to reach all people, not just people that have money. And we're going to be talking to you about that as well, too. This is a company who I wholeheartedly believe in. You hear me talk about Nanosoma, great company, wonderful. I love them. Noble Gold, as good as it gets for integrity and service and not ripping the public off, helping the public. And this company. And this is why I attach myself to these sponsors. They help people provide a valuable service, and I don't have to worry about their integrity. I don't have to answer questions to my audience. And these people are right at the top with the other ones I just mentioned. Now, what you want to do to find out more is go to dhawk.com, dhawk.com. And I'm telling you, in a couple of years, you're going to love it. In fact, we've had two people from our audience go on to be one of their 10 agents. They signed up, they did the program, they go, this is awesome. I want to work at this. And they became licensed agents. How's that for success? dhawk.com. All right. I'm also going to show you something else here that I think you're going to find interesting. Want to show you something here that I think you're going to find very, very interesting. Um, and I'll describe it for the audio audience because you guys need to know where I'm going to. This is Listen Notes. They're the premier rating agency about your reach on podcasts. Okay. And what we put on radio, we generally put on podcasts. In fact, actually, we put more on podcasts. We do radio because our radio space is more limited and the time is more confined. But we are on 3 radio networks and their affiliates, and we're on a number of podcast services, as you know. Okay. And I want to show you something here. Okay. We cover the same things here that we do on social media, such as YouTube. And we're going to show you our global ranking here. Okay. 3.6 million podcasts ranked. And I want to show you where we're at. I'm not bragging. I'm making a point here that we're going to develop. Our global rank is 0.5%. I want you to understand what that means. That means the 3.6 plus million podcasts that are ranked by this service across the world, they rank us in the top 0.5% of the world, not top 5%, the top 0.5%. Not bragging. I'm making a point. Same material that you get in other places. If I'm talking about drought-ridden areas having their water sucked dry by data centers gulping up millions of gallons per day, okay, they're getting the same thing. If I talk about my opposition to the war and what it's doing to the economy, they're getting the same thing in every venue. If I talk about how the Bible is related a lot to what we're living through here today, in fact, I think actually everything, it's the same material. There's no difference. So I'm not bragging, but people have judged us to be that popular and they're following us. We're connecting with a large audience because they identify with the message. Not that I'm worth following, I don't ever say that, but I'm saying I think the material we're covering is relevant to everyone's lives. And I'm reaching people, and I know I don't know how many, but I know we're winning souls for Christ. I know we're waking people up about the importance of integrity in government. and having a government that represents the people, not their little special interests, where they get to fatten their coffers while they're in office. Okay? People resonate with this, except in one place. Now, we did for a while. We were, if you go back to last fall, just as a marker and up until the end of the year, we were getting routinely 20, 30, 50, 70, 80, 100, as much as 180,000 views on one communication. We do 4 to 5 a day on YouTube. We work very hard, and I feel bad because I can't cover everything that I feel people need to know about. Our advertising, I could make more money advertising different things. I'll just be straight up honest with you. But I advertise things that I think that you need or will need given these volatile times that we live in. So we are totally consumer oriented. And I don't have an agenda here. Trust me, I have the skills to be doing many other things than what I'm doing here and doing it with more satisfaction and less stress and not have to deal with nonsensical censorship. And this is what I'm bringing to the forefront here. Now, I'm going to actually show you what Gary Franchi from Next News Network, who's a giant in our field in social media. Guy's awesome, and I trust him. He gives you good content from the heart based on good research, and his people are loyal to the cause. And I give Next News Network my highest endorsement. Always have. I had Gary on my show, oh gosh, been a number of years now, but when I was over in RBN, he came on and we had a couple of his supporters come on too, people that work for him. And because we have such admiration for him, and he's saying exactly the same thing I'm saying here, but I'm going to add to what Gary says in this message that you're going to listen to, because I believe some of the social media is in a sorry state of affairs because it is not truly an unbiased open forum. President Trump has spoken out on this. So this isn't just Dave Hodges' opinion. This goes right to the top of our nation with President Trump. And let me say a word about Trump too. Have I been critical of the war? Yes. Do I think he's buddied up too much to Netanyahu? Yes, but he's distancing because there's a line he draws where he cares about you and he cares about me. And I know some of you have totally jumped off his ship, but he's the man that saved us from world governance control with the TPP when he came into his first term. And thank goodness for Donald Trump. And I knew he would start to come back and support the people. Is he cozied up to the tech bros too much? Yeah, I think he's going to come to that same realization too. I want good technology, but I don't want it at the cost that we're looking at with the data centers and other stuff. And I digress, but this is President Trump going to come back into the forefront. And I'm telling you, President Trump is coming after this censorship. And I believe it's worsening, and I've been told this by insiders because of the upcoming midterms. They don't want certain views out there, like people who support God, family, country, that we say every day that we support. And I believe our actions show that. And we are going to do some of what Gary's going to do. Gary's going dark for 5 days. We're going to go dark on this channel for this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And here's what I'm going to ask you before I play Gary's clips. A number of you have written to me in the comment section, and you have said things like, well, Dave, I try to get to your site and I can't get to it. I hear that at least once or twice a day. Oh, Dave, I've been unsubscribed. I get emails to this effect. Okay. I mean, I got 3 of them yesterday saying the same thing. I've been unsubscribed. I can't resubscribe. Dave, I haven't got a notification from you for weeks. So our message is not going out. And the percentage of people that are being notified that actually come and view a video is infinitesimal compared to what it was. That's not a coincidence. It's not random chance. It's not a falling off of the content, because I can go back and point to the very day that this happened. And I've had enough. So I want to hear from you. Do you get notified? I want everyone to respond to this, and I need you to share this far and wide. because I don't think this will go out to very many people. But I want to hear from you. Have you been unsubscribed and you didn't do it? Do you get notified? Do you have your notifications on and you still don't get notified about what we do? And I want you to respond to that. And I want to see where we're at. And then next Monday, we're going to make a decision. Now, does that mean we're not going to broadcast? Oh, no, we're still going to do the same work. It's just not going to come up here on this weekend. We're going dark for 2 days. And we may expand that time. We may make it permanent. And we are definitely, Scotty and I are definitely in September going to launch our spaces because there's so much going on in our country. I can't walk away because someone wants to censor me. Let me give you a little history of this too. When I first went live on the YouTube venue, we got incredible numbers. We grew so fast it was unbelievable. Then boom, here came the algorithm. Okay. And first they demonetized me. Well, they didn't have cause. I didn't break any policies, and I belong to a consortium that represents me, and they got that removed. And then I woke up one morning after I had called for the full release of the Kennedy files, which was ordered by the president. So I'm not saying anything controversial, untrue, or conspiracy theory. I was echoing our president's call for the release from the CIA of the JFK assassination files. People have a right to know. Channel gone. 15 months. Never a reason, never had a strike, never had a strike. And it was just gone, 15 months. And then there was pressure put on, and all of a sudden, we're restored. And I had to think long and hard whether I wanted to come back because we were doing just fine in the other venues, as you've seen. And we came back, and our numbers began to explode about 7 or 8 months after we were back on. People forgot us. Understandable, out of sight, out of mind. And then our numbers just started to take off like crazy. And then there was this one day, you could just see the drop in our notification percentages are infinitesimally small compared to what they used to be. And I think that when people subscribe to a channel, they're entitled to know when that channel's producing something. The one thing I've told people is just come back here every day because we do the same thing every day in the same format, same fashion, same length. Come back every day. But people typically are creatures of habit. They depend on notifications to go and see. And our people clearly are not getting notifications. And then, like I said, the subscriptions are being messed with by what people tell me. And some of those are already in our comment section that I left up there. And I've said, yeah, this is a familiar thing that I'm hearing. A lot of people email me on this every single day. Hey, let's go to Gary. And it looks like that went offline. We're going to try to bring that back. Be patient with us here.
I didn't want to make this video. I've delayed it, reconsidered it, and searched for every possible alternative. But after watching what has happened to this channel and what it is doing to the people who depend on it, I no longer believe that staying silent is an option. I've been left with no choice. For more than a decade, I've poured my life into this channel. My family has sacrificed for it. My team has sacrificed for it. And millions of you have watched, subscribed, shared our reports, argued with us, supported us, and helped us build something that was never supposed to exist. An independent news network that reached nearly 2 billion views, not 2 million, not 20 million, nearly 2 billion views. And yet today I have to tell you something that I thought I would never have to say. This may be my very last upload.
This is Gary Franchi, and we're going to play more of this for you. And like I said, I admire Gary. And Gary is a guy that you can trust to tell you the truth. And I'm glad to have him as a colleague. But you look at this here, and I'm feeling the same way he is feeling. We're suffering through the same exact issues that he is identifying. And I want to mention one thing too before we get into it. He doesn't mention Sarah Westall's lawsuit against Google. Now, I think the cards are stacked because if they get the venue moved from DC to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, they call it the Ninth Circus Court of Appeals, they're as liberal as the day is long. Sarah's lawsuit doesn't have a chance, and she's suing on 230. And Section 230 is this, is that if you have a platform like Rumble, YouTube, so forth, and someone comes on and does child porn, it slips through your censorship. You don't mean for it to happen. It's totally an accident. You don't support stuff like that. You can't be held liable. Okay. You have some immunity there, but you also can't censor. And that's a provision in 230. It's not being enforced. And it's something that I think that President Trump is eventually going to come around on, and he's going to enforce this. 8 years ago in midterms, I had a late night discussion, and I was with Gary Haven, very successful businessman, activist, guy's in the right place. He funded the movie Amerigeddon, okay, was in it, had a cameo role. Um, Doug Thornton, former DHS supervisor, combat Marine, and my friend Doug Hagman. We're all sitting poolside, and I'm telling him about 230, and I said, the censorship is going to really hurt our chances in the midterms. And next thing I know, I'm on a phone call with an advisor to President Trump. And I explained it. And President Trump actually commented on 230 4 days after I had that conversation. Pretty lengthy conversation, too. And this guy was asked a lot of questions. He wanted to know. And I had researched it. And I said, well, this is what I'm finding in the statute. And I thought things were going to turn then, but they did not. And I don't know why not. But I know the president is growing very impatient with the censorship in media. Gary Franchi alludes to this here. I'm hearing it in different circles. And although I am in opposition to the president on two issues, I support this president. And if he was able constitutionally to run for a third term, I would vote for him. And I believe he's going to come around on this issue. I truly do. But you need to know when you don't see me on here after Friday for 2 days or maybe permanently, this is why. And my feelings here are wrapped up exactly in what Gary is saying. And I'm calling on my conservative colleagues who are telling me the same things happening to them, fellow Christians, fellow patriotic Americans, same thing. And it's the same stuff that happened to Tucker over on Fox. Tell the truth? No, can't do that. We have an agenda.
This is what almonds do to.
Well, I don't know why this clicked on here. This is so irritating. Isn't it funny the commercial came on right there? Um, okay, let's listen to more what Gary has to say.
As you have known it. Not because I have nothing left to report, not because the mission is over, not because the audience has disappeared, but because YouTube has made it harder and harder for this channel to reach the very people who ask to see it. You subscribed, you turned on notifications, you came back year after year, and still fewer and fewer of you are being shown our work. So before this channel goes dark, I want you to see the evidence for yourself, not rumors and theories or emotion. I want you to see the record. And this is what happened. Look at this chart. This is the history of the Next News Network. There were years when this channel reached hundreds of thousands of people every single day. There were days we reached millions. The audience was real. The reach was real. The impact was real. We did not imagine it. You did not imagine it. And nobody can honestly look at nearly 2 billion lifetime views and say this channel never found an audience. We found one. We built one. You were a part of it. But then something changed. Over the last 365 days, this channel generated more than 70 million views. That may still sound enormous, but the direction of the channel tells a very different story. Watch time collapsed compared with the previous year. Subscriber growth reversed. The reach continued to contract. And the economic foundation supporting this newsroom continued to weaken. Now look at the last 90 days. More than 7,000 subscribers lost. Watch time failing. Views deteriorating. Now look at the last 28 days. Thousands more gone. And in the last 7 days, hundreds more disappeared. This is not one bad upload. This is not one weak headline. This is not one thumbnail that missed. And this is not a temporary dip. This is a sustained collapse. So far in 2026, this channel has generated tens of millions of views, but watch time is down dramatically. We've lost more than 13,000 subscribers. Think about that. A channel with more than 2 million subscribers is now losing thousands of them, month after month, week after week, day after day. And yet our content is still persuading new people to subscribe. In one recent 28-day period, our standard videos generated hundreds of new subscribers. Our shorts generated hundreds more. People are still finding the content. People are still choosing to subscribe, but the channel as a whole continues shrinking. We are gaining subscribers through the reports while losing even more subscribers overall. And something is broken. And nobody can say that we stopped producing. In one recent 28-day period, we published 132 standard videos, 91 shorts, 19 live streams, more than 240 pieces of content, more than 8 releases every single day. We did not abandon the audience. We didn't stop working. We didn't disappear, but YouTube says that a typical standard video on this channel now receives somewhere between 2,900 and 6,100 views during the first 28 days. Think about that.
It's a joke.
More than 2 million people pressed subscribe, and a typical report may reach only a few thousand viewers. That's not a functioning connection between a channel and its audience. That is a subscriber count displayed on a page while the relationship underneath it slowly disintegrates. Despite more than 2 million subscribers, notifications account for only a small fraction of our viewers. So let me be very precise. That does not mean YouTube notified only that percentage of subscribers, but it does mean that notifications contributed only a tiny portion of the actual viewing activity on a channel built by millions of people deliberately asking to hear from us. When someone presses subscribe, it should mean something. When someone turns on all notifications, it should mean something.
If you sit on the toilet, bear down, and barely anything comes out, you don't have constipation, you have poop paralysis.
Interrupted again. Unbelievable.
But today, that connection feels broken. And it's not the first reason we've had to question how this platform sees us. Years ago, Google whistleblower Zach Voorhees released an internal Google presentation. Look at the title. Fringe Ranking Classifier, Defining Channel Quality.
Don't you just love the terms? Fringe. Look, let's just call it what it is. Your liberal views don't match what this man has been saying, so you have to label him with the term fringe. Well, when you have one finger pointing at somebody, you got 3 fingers pointing back at you. And he proves his case there, and he has this document where he shows the majors, he's at the bottom. Well, we're suffering a very similar fate. And we have even a lower percentage of people reaching us than what Gary demonstrated here. And it's so frustrating. And so what he says he's going to do, I'm going dark. I'm going dark for 5 days. We're going to go dark for 2 days. And then I'm going to decide what we're going to do. My next phone call is to my friend Scotty Sachs. We may start up that Spaces channel even sooner. But you still can find us, same name over on Rumble. We're going to start putting things up there now. and all the other venues that you catch. Now, I will tell you this, go to thecommonsenseshow.com and we'll put everything up there as well. We're not going to stop working. We're working on your behalf. We defend God, family, country, and we have a special place in our heart for the oppressed. But we are not going to bend the knee to this. And the thing is, I can't even tell you. They call it community guidelines, but I couldn't tell you other than blatant pornography or violent threats or just really horrible language, what will get you in YouTube jail. I have no idea. I mean, I can't talk about something that the president's talking about. Well, that happened to me before with the Kennedy assassination files. So the bottom line is, though, is this reach of this platform is so large that people like Gary and I will only make a small dent, and they don't care. But we want you to be able to follow us and get the word because we live in very difficult times. My pastor says we're in the end days. That doesn't mean next week, next year, or even next decade, but we are approaching the end times. I think there's no question all the signs are there. And I point that out constantly with Revelation, like Revelation 6, verses 7 through 8. I cover this a lot, a lot. I cover the possible ET alien deception our government's promoting. Yeah, I don't believe in real aliens from anywhere, but I do believe in Genesis 6, verse 4, and they were there afterward. After what? The flood. And who are they? The Nephilim, the fallen angels, and their descendants after the intermarriage of them and earth women. And this is where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. There's some people that just don't want you to hear the biblical truth. They don't want corrupt officials who do bidding for certain groups of people to be exposed for their corruption. And we don't make these assertions lightly. Knock on wood, we've never been sued. I've never even received a cease and desist letter. And I thought some groups would certainly do that because I've been passionate about some things, but you don't get those letters, you don't get sued because discovery would be worse than what you're talking about. And so we have been, I believe, a beacon for truth. And I've tried to let God and the Holy Spirit guide us here on this show. And I'm just saying enough is enough. I want to hear from you. Have you been unsubscribed? Do you receive notifications? When's the last time you received a notification? And will you do us the honor and favor of sharing this with a lot of people? Because I think they need to know what really is truly going on. And I share everything Gary said. Now, there's more you can go see if you go to Next News Network. And the title of what Gary produced is called Trump Amplified This YouTube Warning. Now, this may be my last upload, and that's from Next News Network, Gary Franchi. And I would suggest you go listen to all of it because I endorse every word he says here. There is nothing in this broadcast that I disagree with. And as always, we serve you. And if you don't know the history of me, okay, I'm just a happy camper. My wife and I wanted to get away from the gangs in central Glendale, and we wanted to move to a more rural, calm area. So we thought. So we moved to northern Maricopa County, where the nearest gas station was 15 miles away. And we were in heaven for 6 months until the evil forces of John McCain and Ted Kennedy and the Canamex highway system came calling. They disguised their purpose, tried to say it was something else. We found out the truth, and they tried to force us off our land with no compensation. No, no, not eminent domain, people. Eminent domain would have been a gift. No compensation. Well, I took to the airwaves and started telling people what was going on with our community. And we drummed up enough support. We got legislators in the State House of Arizona to support us. My state senator, Jack Harper, stood behind us after opposing us early on. But once he saw the totality, he says, I'm not going to support what they're doing to you guys. And he stepped up. He did the manly thing. And by the way, he's no longer in politics because he told too much of the truth, like regard to voter integrity in Ahwatukee. Another subject, another time. So this is how I got started. And then when we won our battle after 8 years and retained our property ownership, um, I have to shake my head and giggle um, simply because of the fact that I realized in the process of what I was doing here that my issue wasn't the only issue facing America. And if we wanted to continue as a nation, if we wanted our families of our children here in America to enjoy the fruits of our great country that we had to fight for it. And so that's what led me to do this. And I said, we're going to be loyal to God, family, country, and don't claim to be perfect, but I ask God for wisdom and guidance to do the job that I think needs to be done. And I've encouraged everyone out there, get a podcast, say something a half hour a day, 20 minutes a day. Get your word out there. Tell people how you feel because right now the mainstream media is not your friend, never has been your friend. And we've pointed out time and time again, they're espousing values that make most of us sick to our stomachs. And so we're telling people that you need to hear a counter view. Our young people need to hear a counter view. Our young people need to know that what Hollywood puts out is sinful, despicable, and will send you straight to the bad place. And that's why I do what I do. Gary's mission is clearly to clean up this corrupt government, clearly. And he does a great job. So much so, he got presidential credentials from the White House. That's right. I don't have those credentials. Gary does. So he's supported all the way to the top. Yet he's being censored. Why? For telling the truth about corruption? People, we need to decide, is our country worth saving, or do you just want to sit back in your easy chair and let it happen? Freedom is not free, as the saying goes, and you need to stand up and fight for what you want to preserve. Our Christian founding fathers did it, and now their Christian descendants need to do the same thing, or we're going to lose everything in this country. That's not fear mongering. That's a statement of fact. Just look at how things are. Just get into the Katie Hobbs family and her actions as governor here in Arizona. Just look at her and say, is this someone who you want your kids to emulate? And we've done enough pointing this out. You have a choice. You can either be on Team Jesus or Team Satan. And not to choose is to choose Team Satan. Get off your butt and do something. First thing you can do is tell me the feedback here, like people did yesterday. I heard from 3 people. I've been unsubscribed, can't resubscribe. Dave, I haven't got a notification from you for weeks. I want to hear that stuff from you first. Secondly, please share this far and wide and realize they may not let us back on after I've done this tirade because I don't know what they're going to do to Gary. I don't know what they're going to do to me. And frankly, I don't care because I'm going to be true to what I believe in. And what I believe in should not be controversial. Not, I'm saying people shouldn't disagree with me. But what I'm saying is not controversial here. I'm seeing things that are wrong and I'm calling them out. And I always tell people like TPUSA, I don't like the direction they've gone after Charlie Kirk. They went 180 from what Charlie was and what Charlie wanted. And I've told TPUSA, come on my show, tell me how I'm wrong. If you're truly preserving Charlie's legacy, which they're not, I told, come on and tell me that I'm wrong. Prove to me. Nothing. Crickets chirping. Yet they wanted me to cover his memorial. Isn't that interesting? But they won't come on my show because they don't want to be asked the questions I'm going to ask. That's what we stand for here. That's what we stand for here. Pray for President Trump. Pray for all your leaders, but pray for the president here because I see signs that he's looking at the war with Iran and realizing the error of his ways. And he doesn't have to be perfect to be my president. And the fact that he could say, I'm reconsidering some things here and Netanyahu's really upset with him, it tells me he has a central beam and that beam is on you. He's honed in on you, the American people, and I believe he's going to come back to center. And I believe he's going to be the Donald Trump that we elected. I firmly do believe that, and I feel it in my spirit. Support this president, pray for him. Yes, I know you've had disagreements, but would you rather have Mondami or AOC? Seriously, a godless political party, the Democrats? Hold on, I'm not being insulting. They took God out of their party platform years ago. I can't vote for anyone that took God out of their party platform. What does the Bible say? If you deny me before man, Jesus said, I'll deny you before my Father. I'm not taking that risk. I suggest you don't either. There's a lot at stake here, ladies and gentlemen, beyond the fate of what I do here. Gary's fate doesn't matter. We right now are facing a crisis. And I believe there's only one answer, and that's the Lord Jesus Christ. And if that drives people away on its own, well, then so be it. I hope you come back. I hope at least I'll make you consider and think and contemplate. And maybe down the road, you'll realize, yeah, I don't want to admit it, but Dave's right. I got to get on the right side of the Lord. And that's what we're doing here. We will not stop telling you the truth as God sees us or gives us the light to see the truth. That's it. We're out of here. Thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, you'll find us on other platforms beginning tomorrow. And I'll have an announcement about spaces over on our website. So if you say, Dave, I haven't heard from you in weeks, okay, go to the website, thecommonsenseshow.com. We'll tell you every day for a while where we're at, what we're doing. We'll give you a roster. Thanks. We'll see you back here next time. God bless all of you, and I mean that sincerely. And God bless Gary Franchi and the great people of Next News Network. I so appreciate you guys. Looks like we have blacked out. Anyway, we're out. We'll see you back here next time, maybe.